So on behalf of Mid-Ulster District Council, welcome everyone to LinkedIn to Win webinar, one of our 12 that are happening this week for Enterprise Week, helping support local businesses through this very challenging time. Just a quick bit of housekeeping before we get started. The session is being recorded so we can upload to the Council's website. For those who haven't been able to attend today, please note your cameras and microphones are turned off for all of the attendees, so you will not be seen or heard at any time during the presentation. We do want the session to be interactive and engaging, so as we go through the session, please feel free to enter questions using the chat function at the bottom of your screen, and we'll pick up those as we go along. I'm delighted to introduce today's speaker, Louise Brogan, for what should be a really interesting and informative session. Feel free to take notes as you go, but the slides will be shared with you later today. And as we hand over to Louise, I'm just going to share a poll, if you don't mind answering for us.
All right. Thank you so much, Catherine. Actually, what we're going to do is keep the Q&A. Sorry, Catherine, we're going to keep the questions to the very end. But if people want to put them in the Q&A box, then we'll make sure that we definitely capture them all at the end. And if you are already using LinkedIn, why don't you share your LinkedIn into the chat box as well, so we can go and find you all. So I'm going to just get stuck in and welcome along to the webinar today. Delighted that there's so many people have come along. Okay. All right. So LinkedIn for winning business. And actually in the chat box as well, if you want to say if you are, you're here on behalf of your company, you are a solo entrepreneur, or maybe you are a job seeker, in which case this is actually a business focused webinar, but reach out to me privately on LinkedIn if you want tips, or if you are actually a job seeker as well. All right. So how to win business on LinkedIn. Let's dive in. So my name is Louise Brogan. I live just outside Belfast. I have been working with business owners, entrepreneurs, professionals on social media since the days gone by of 2012, 2013 is when I started my business. I previously worked as an IT project manager in the health service, actually in the Northern Trust, which some of you might be in the Northern Trust area. Before leaving that to start my own business. And I used to do all social media, and I niched down into LinkedIn about 2-3 years ago now. And you'll find out why as we go through the presentation, actually, why I really think LinkedIn is the place to be, especially if you are in B2B. I have a podcast called LinkedIn with Louise. If you are a podcast listener, you can get it on Apple Podcasts, or you can get it on, if you're on an Android phone, you can get it on Spotify as well. I also speak on stages about LinkedIn, and interestingly, 2020, I was hoping to do a lot more speaking on stages. Instead, I'm speaking on virtual stages. So this year I had the honor of speaking at Podcast Movement, which was in America, and also Vid Summit, which was held just 2 weeks ago. Well, it would have been in Idaho, I believe, but it was virtual for me. So without further ado, oops, sorry about that. What to expect today. So I like to actually deliver training that you can put into practice straight away, which is what I'm going to do. It's very practical training. You will take away tips that you can implement that will make a difference on your LinkedIn, honestly, within the day. So, and then we'll have plenty of time for Q&A at the end, because I love taking questions from people. So why LinkedIn? I don't know if you know this, but LinkedIn's actually owned by Microsoft. They bought it a few years ago. And the current number of people on LinkedIn is 722 million worldwide. At the start of 2020, it was actually 630 million. So it has grown by, do some maths, 80 million people this year alone. I have a couple of theories about that, and mainly because people are working from home. People are looking for work, looking for opportunities. They're working from home. They don't have the coffee breaks where you go and catch up with your colleagues. We're not meeting in person. People who sell have had to move their sales meetings online. Lots of different reasons, but you can see the impact that it has had in terms of the volume of people creating LinkedIn accounts, creating LinkedIn company pages, and the increase, 25% increase in engagement on LinkedIn this year, which is amazing. But for you, I want you to think about, why are you using LinkedIn? So not everybody is. You can see that from the poll answers, not everybody is. But why should you be using LinkedIn maybe? So if we look at the other social media platforms, when I started out, it was all about Facebook, and you had to have a Facebook business page if you had any ideas or notions about marketing your business online. Now it's really, really hard to get eyes on your content on Facebook. The reason being, people don't go to Facebook to find businesses or business connections. They go to Facebook, they open Facebook to connect with their friends and family. So that's the main priority. And Facebook says that themselves. They say they are a community-based social media website. Yes, they have businesses and there's massive spend on Facebook advertising, but the number one reason people go to Facebook is to connect with friends and family, whether it is your local PTA group, your local sports club, people who follow the same football team as you, or catching up with your brother who lives on the other side of the world. That's why people open Facebook in the first instance. They open Instagram because they're looking for a little jolt of inspiration. That's what Instagram was created for. It's to be inspired, whether that's to be inspired by business coaches, health and fitness professionals, whatever it is that you go to Instagram for. That's why people go to Instagram, to get a little bit of inspiration in their lives. People open Twitter because they want to know what's going on in the world right now, whether it is news and events, whether it's I'm a celebrity, get me out of here, whether it's what's happening in The Crown. That's what people go to Twitter for. They go, they go for politics, election news, fascinating people holding Twitter accounts who maybe shouldn't have them. That's the number one reason why people open the Twitter account. But the reason people go to LinkedIn is to connect with their business network. The number one reason why, which makes it so much easier to build your business on LinkedIn when you know what you're doing on there. 40% of people actually go to LinkedIn every single day. And I have some statistics later for you about the number of people who actually use LinkedIn. So the way I work with people is I help with 4 key pillars. Number 1 being your LinkedIn profile. Number 2, building your LinkedIn network. Number 3, what kind of content you should be putting on LinkedIn. And number 4, how to use LinkedIn Messenger that's going to help you to build your business. So we'll start with the LinkedIn profile, because until you have your LinkedIn profile properly optimized, the other 3 things are going to be so much harder. So basically going to run you down through the LinkedIn profile, and LinkedIn profile writing and LinkedIn profile optimization is a service that I offer clients. It's probably the first step a lot of people take with me, is getting their profile reviewed. Starting at the top, you want to have a clean, clear headshot photograph of yourself, because a lot of people are opening up these social media platforms on their phones. And if the picture of you in your profile photograph is you standing on a stage somewhere and it's your whole body and the background of the stage, no one can actually see your face. So make sure that your profile photograph is head and shoulders of you, and make sure it's professional looking. You don't have to be wearing a suit and tie, but you shouldn't be standing on a beach. You shouldn't have a drink in your hand. You shouldn't be wearing sunglasses or a hat. You should look as though you are going to a business networking event to connect with people that you do business with. Then you want to look at your headline. So when you open up LinkedIn, especially on your desktop, they call the top square or the rectangle that has your photograph, your headline, and your contact info, kind of what you're seeing here on the screen. This is called your introductory card. And you want to really, really think carefully about what you write as your headline for LinkedIn. If you don't write your headline and don't curate it yourself, LinkedIn will take whatever you have as your current experience from your experience section. So a lot of people will have something like Louise Brogan, founder, or Louise Brogan, business development officer, Louise Brogan, waiter, you know, something, whatever you've written as your current title of your job in your experience section. So you want to really think about your headline. It's so important. Not just because if someone clicks on your profile, they're seeing the headline. Your headline is actually what draws people to click on your name in the first place. It has to catch the eye of your ideal client or the person that you want to connect with you on LinkedIn. So I change mine quite regularly. So it's not even what it says on the screen here today. But I do have LinkedIn consultant and I do have speaker on mine. And I think I probably have podcast movement and vid summit on there as well, because those are the two conferences I spoke at recently. So write it in a way that attracts your ideal client. You will see lots of people who say there's a formula for writing this. I would be cautious about that because you don't want your headline just to look like everybody else's. However, if you work within a certain area, like a geographical area, then I would include that in your headline. So just a few little tips about that. Underneath your headline is your about summary. And I would love to see your about summary having more than a couple of lines of text. So this is not like 3 lines about what you do. This is going to be when someone clicks on your profile and clicks on your headline, goes to your profile, this is what they read that is going to make them make the decision whether or not to follow up and connect with you or to follow you on LinkedIn. So you want to write how you can help people, what you want to be known for, and make sure that you include a call to action. So whether that is reach out to connect with me here on LinkedIn or visit my website, or, you know, if you are open to it, put your phone number on there if it's a business phone number, and encourage people to actually take action once they've written or once they've read through your about section. Formatting your about section is really, really important. So you do not want to have a big block of text here because nobody will read it. Honestly, people do not read more than 3 or 4 lines on any platform, especially not on LinkedIn. It's just too much to read through and digest, and people just skim through it. Okay. I learned this years ago. I did a master's in computing at Jordanstown in 2000. Oh my goodness, 20 years ago. And this is the thing that sticks with me from that master's, along with not very much of the rest of it. Human-computer interaction. We do not like things that are difficult or challenging to read, especially on a social networking site. We just skim right past it. So make sure you've got white space in here. Add in emojis if it suits your brand or your business. Include your call to action. Make sure it's written in the first person. This is your personal profile. And actually, we're going to run a second poll today about whether or not you have a company page. So Catherine, you could share that, and we'll find out if people have got company pages as well. But you want to write this in the first person. So I help people with, okay? And make it interesting. That's the other thing. You know, it doesn't have to be boring, because people will not read it if it's boring. So let's just move that out of the way. Okay. All right, underneath your about section is your featured section. Now I have to say, when you're writing your LinkedIn profile, the about section is the bit that you will have, well, you should, you should spend the most time on. Okay, after that, it's really making sure that you fill in all the different sections in a way that appeals to your target audience, ideal client, supplier, whoever it is you're trying to connect with on LinkedIn. So the next bit is your featured section. If you don't see a featured section, oh great, 62% of you have got a company page. That's brilliant. For the person who wants to know what that is, when you create your LinkedIn account, you have a personal profile, and then you can create a company page. even if you are the only person in your business, you should still have a company page. It helps you to get found online. It helps with search engine optimization. It makes your own personal profile more credible because your logo appears in your personal profile. I've got quite a bit of content around company pages on my podcast and also over on my YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search for Louise Brogan LinkedIn and you'll come across some free training videos on there, including one today that's going up about how to get more followers on your LinkedIn company page. But for the people who said no, they don't have one, and the person says that what is that? I strongly urge you to get a company page up on LinkedIn for the reasons that I just explained. And if you want to ask me about that at the end, happy to talk about that. So your featured section then is a new feature this year. That's the other thing with LinkedIn. They have brought us so many brilliant new features this year, and this is one of my favorites. You can feature links to other websites, links to your videos, links to blog posts, links to your articles and posts on LinkedIn. And you know, if you're a speaker like me, you can put up your speaker reel on here. Really, it's highlighting content about you that is going to help the reader who's at your profile make a decision or understand more about what it is that you do. The rest of your profile is your experience section, your education, if you're a volunteer in anything, honors and awards you might have, skills and endorsements and recommendations. Skills and endorsements are really, really important as well, because that's how LinkedIn decides whether or not to show you to somebody who's searching. So if you're a copywriter and you type in copywriter in the search bar at the top of LinkedIn, somebody with copywriting in their skills section is going to come up above other people who don't have that. Likewise, if you haven't cleaned up your skills section, I was working with a lady this week, and she used to be in project management, and now she is a leadership coach. And I was asked, so LinkedIn sometimes will say, does this person have skills in project management? And I was going, no, they don't. But they're being found for project management because they haven't tidied up their skills section. So even if you have a brilliant LinkedIn profile, just go through all of these sections after today and make sure that they are up to date and relevant to what it is you're doing now. Then below that is your recommendation section, and I recommend that you ask as many people as possible who've worked with you for a recommendation about what it is, your products or services, because you can't create these yourself. You can't copy and paste from a testimonial somebody sent you in an email. It has to come from that other person's LinkedIn account. So it gives you huge credibility and visibility, and it just really, other people can check out what your previous clients think about you and how they can work with you. Also, when you send somebody a recommendation request and they send it back to you, you can read it before it's approved and put on your account. So it's not like somebody who goes and leaves a review of your business on Google My Business or a Facebook page and you think, oh, yuck, I don't like what they said about me. That's not what this is. This is, you can't alter what they've said, but you can decide not to put it on your account. So it's really a win-win. Okay, add media through your LinkedIn profile. So you can add slideshows, you can add PDFs, you could record a 60-second video of you speaking into camera, telling people what it is that you do and why they should connect with you. All of these things really amplify your visibility on LinkedIn and make it far more likely people are going to reach out and connect with you for the right reasons. All right, so I want to go through a little checklist with you first of all, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the presentation. So do you think your audience are on LinkedIn? My answer to this is pretty much yes. Honestly, who am I working with at the minute? Lots of different people. A corporate poet, so a poet who does workshops around poetry. Somebody who writes rituals for other people, you know, Jacqueline Rooney, who is an artist in Northern Ireland, is doing phenomenally well on LinkedIn, selling lots of art. And she said that it was after listening to me that she realized that she could have a potential audience on LinkedIn. She's doing brilliantly. So don't say that you don't have an audience on LinkedIn. Have a chat with me first and we'll see whether I think you do or not. Okay. Make sure you have a fully optimized LinkedIn profile. Are you attracting your ideal clients? So do you know who you want to connect with on LinkedIn? And are you actually attracting those people by what you're doing on LinkedIn? And I want you to start connecting with relevant people. So the way I work with my clients is we build a genuine, authentic network on LinkedIn, not connect with as many people as you can, so that when you throw spaghetti at the wall, some of it sticks. That is absolutely the opposite of how I work with clients and businesses. So, all right, let's get stuck in. Once you've got your profile, you're ready to go. What do you do? So I said I'd share some more statistics with you. 1% of people who have a LinkedIn account put content on LinkedIn. Let's just think about that for a minute. There's 722 million accounts on LinkedIn. Only 1% of people are actually sharing any content on LinkedIn. So that's writing posts, making videos, sharing links to newspaper articles, sharing links to blog posts, sharing links to white papers, uploading documents, 1%. So it's not that hard when you know what you're doing to really make a massive impact on LinkedIn. 90% of people just scroll and don't do anything else. 9% of people will go onto LinkedIn and they will comment on people's posts, or they will click a little thumbs up or the heart or something like that. And that is really, you're wasting an opportunity there. If you see an article or a post and you think, well done on that job, or gosh, that was really inspiring, or well, no, I disagree with you completely on that, Louise. When you write something, that's when everybody else sees your name and your headline. And that's what leads people to click through to find out more about you and what you do. If you just get your LinkedIn profile up to scratch and then you never bother writing anything or sharing any content, people are not going to come across you by accident. So you've got to go on there and actually participate and engage in order to get some business out of LinkedIn. Now, I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people on their LinkedIn strategy and content, from large multinationals down to solopreneurs. And the reasons why people don't post on LinkedIn are not that different for all of these different people. People are using it. Think that LinkedIn, that's like your online CV. That's where you put like all the jobs you did before. No, it is not. No. And in fact, you don't want to put all the jobs you did before, because if the jobs you did before aren't relevant to what you're doing now, you're kind of handicapping yourself a little bit there. So go back through your experience section. And if you had part-time jobs that lasted for 3 months, or you did jobs at uni in between, getting your degree and moving on, or you did 10 years working in a sector and you think, oh, but look at all that work I did and I don't do any of that anymore at all. Should I not just keep it there, Louise? If it's a really lengthy piece of work that you did, yes, keep it in your experience section, but cut it right down to like 1 or 2 lines of what you did, unless it's relevant to what you're doing now. Remember, we want to be found for what we want to do now, what products or services we're selling now. So we don't want to be found for those other things. It is not your online CV. A lot of people worry about what their peers or colleagues will think. Oh, I couldn't possibly publish an article about 10 ways to optimize your LinkedIn profile, because what would all the other LinkedIn specialists think of me? You're not sharing content for your peers or your colleagues, unless you literally are. You're sharing it for your audience and your ideal clients. If you can take one thing away from today, it is, if you can be of service or value to your network on LinkedIn, you will win at using LinkedIn for business. Okay, you're not broadcasting out at people, you are sharing stuff that helps them. And it could be like, here's how to use our product. That is helpful. But if you think, oh, I couldn't possibly put something on there because all those other attorneys or all those other lawyers are going to read it and think, who does she think she is? You're not writing it for them. You're writing it for your target audience. You're not really sure why you should be posting. Like, what's the point? I don't really like. I'm not going to just like stick something up for the sake of it. And I agree. Please don't. Please do not just put things on LinkedIn without strategically thinking, why are you doing this? So have a goal in mind for your content. You know, don't just. I see a lot of people sharing stuff that's not relevant to what they do in business, and they get lots of engagement and likes, but it's not leading anywhere. It's not leading to anybody to reach out to work with them. So be strategic in what you're sharing and think, is this helping me move the needle forward in my business? Or am I just making myself a bit of a powder puff and feeling good because I've got so much engagement on your post? Think strategically about it. So reasons to post on LinkedIn: the network that you're building up with yourself, with the people you're connecting with. You can't connect with them if you don't give them anything to talk about. So connecting with your network, showing your expertise. You are an expert in what you do or what you sell. So show that by talking about it on your LinkedIn profile. That does not mean selling your services on every post. Please don't do that. I follow the Gary Vaynerchuk rule of thumb here, where it's, you know, jab, 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 punch. So you deliver service, value, 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 and then here's how you can work with me. Okay. So do let people know that you actually have a business or a product or service for sale, but don't make every post about that. But do show that you are an expert in what it is that you work in, and build trust with people. So if you connect with me on LinkedIn after today, which I strongly invite you to do, and send me a message and say, hi, Louise, I was at your webinar and I'd like to connect with you. I'm promising you that I will share content on LinkedIn that teaches you how to use LinkedIn. So you know that I'm not going to suddenly start, talking about, I don't know, Facebook or Instagram or email marketing. I'm going to talk about how to use LinkedIn. So people connect with you and follow you for a reason. So keep that promise up and build trust with your network, showcase your knowledge. How does posting content help you grow your network? So sharing content with your network raises your profile. If you just create a LinkedIn profile, but you never share anything, no one's going to see you. Engaging with your audience, so writing posts or commenting on other people's stuff, leads to more people looking at your LinkedIn profile. How you find out who's looked at your profile is, now it's premium to see who the people are looking at your profile, but everyone has access to a private dashboard on their LinkedIn profile. And it has 3 numbers. And the first number is how many people have looked at your profile in the last 90 days. So I think mine is sitting at about 1,100 people. I would not be getting those people looking at my profile if I wasn't actively using LinkedIn, sharing content and commenting on other people's stuff. When you comment on someone's post, their network will see your name. And if you've written a good headline and it appeals to them, they'll click on your profile to find out more about you. And when if one of you comments on my post, then my post gets shown to your network. So I need to write posts in a way that people engage with them and write comments, because that pushes my profile out to more people than just my own network. What kind of content should you be posting on LinkedIn? So the number one thing is starting conversations. For example, I started a conversation last week, I think. Do you have a company page on LinkedIn? Here are 3 reasons why I think you should have a company page on LinkedIn, but I'm interested to know if you have a company page on LinkedIn. I think I've got, can't remember, but like double figures of comments on that post because I asked them a question and it was relevant to why they're following me on LinkedIn. If I just said, here's 3 reasons why you should have a company page on LinkedIn, but didn't ask a conversation, nobody would respond to it. So a conversation is not you saying, look at this amazing thing that I've built, pushing it out in front of people. It's like, look at this thing we're building. We're not really sure if it would be helpful for somebody who does this or does that. What do you think? Asking people questions is how you get responses to things. Be of service to your audience. So what do your people have connected with you for a reason? What do they want to know about? What can you tell them that helps them in their business? Educational posts work amazingly well on LinkedIn. And I mean, as in you're teaching your audience something they didn't know about. So a good friend of mine, Paula, recently shared some update about Zoom. I can't remember what it was, or some software about, doing a demonstration to her network on Zoom. She's had so many comments about it because she's going, did you know you could do this? Look, if you click here and do this, and this, this happens. And people love that because they're learning something from her and that they didn't know before. So that kind of content works really, really well, as long as it's relevant to what it is that you do in your business. Text-only posts still do better than anything else on LinkedIn. And this is the opposite of all the other social media platforms. So it's, every platform has its own rules and its own best practices. I'm working on YouTube, my YouTube channel at the minute, and the best practices for YouTube are completely different to everything else. But I love that because I'm a lifelong learner. Text-only posts do best on LinkedIn. That's just a fact. Okay, so doing LinkedIn, another feature LinkedIn brought out this year are polls. They are hugely successful for me. And again, they're related to, my polls are related to LinkedIn. So this was one I did recently, and it did actually have a link through to a webinar that I was hosting. So it wasn't a sales post in a way that I wasn't leading them to click on a link to buy anything. I was leading them to click on a link to come to a free training. But 195 comments, 28 reactions, and over 350 votes on that poll. And that's text posts. And you'll see on this image that I used emojis in there as well, which I really like. But that's personal. It's whether you use emojis, it's very much a personal taste. Share industry news. So I know text-only posts do best on LinkedIn, but that doesn't mean that I don't share other kinds of content as well, because I like to mix it up, and your audience likes to see different kind of content from you. So if there's something happening in your industry, share a post about it, but write why. Tell them why you're sharing it. So don't just share. And I see this, it's really interesting when I work with teams. The senior members of the team are quite likely to just share something from the company page, but not actually write about why they're sharing it. So there's a whole big strategy around this. Oh, that'll be my Middlesbrough poster falling off the wall behind me. Apologies for that big thump. Oh dear. So sharing industry news and making sure that you explain why you're sharing it to your audience and ask them a question about it. When LinkedIn bring out a new feature, use it, because LinkedIn will promote your content above other people. This is such an important point to remember. So you can add video posts from your mobile directly, something that a lot of people know about. You can now add LinkedIn stories. You can add polls, and you can upload documents. LinkedIn stories and LinkedIn polls are probably the two most recent things there. And when you use those, they are promoting your content because they're new features, and LinkedIn likes to promote their own new features. So use them, try them out, and they'll give you more visibility than other things. Okay. I'm really interested to know in the chat, actually, if anyone is using hashtags on LinkedIn and what they are doing with them. This actually leads into the company page piece as well, because each company page can follow 3 hashtags, and then you can comment as your company on those hashtags as your company page, which helps more people find your company page. But LinkedIn suggests you use between 3 and 5 hashtags on every post that you share. This is not hashtag through the post. This is 3 at the end of your post. Make sure they're relevant to what you're talking about, because people follow hashtags, so they may not be following you, but they might be following the hashtag that you're using. So if I do a post and it's hashtag LinkedIn profiles, people might be following that hashtag and then come across my content and engage with it, even if they've never heard of me. So 3 hashtags for every post that you have on LinkedIn. Tagging on LinkedIn. Don't tag, right? I don't like saying don't do things, but really I have guidelines around this. Only tag someone when it's relevant. Don't tag somebody because you know they've got a big audience or because you know they work with your target audience. Please, please, please do not write a post and then tag 20 people at the end of it. It's really spammy. It's really annoying to the people being tagged. Yes, it gets more people to see your stuff, but I don't have any truck with gimmicks on LinkedIn. I think it's much better to learn how to use the platform properly and share stuff that people want to know about, that leads to them wanting to reach out to you to work with them, basically, or to buy your product. So don't spam the network. In fact, if you do more than 20 tags, I think LinkedIn will take down your post. Other people will report you as well. That's the other thing. There was a guy recently who was doing really well on LinkedIn, but so many people reported his post that his account was deleted by LinkedIn. So just be mindful of not abusing things like tagging on LinkedIn. Don't tag people you don't know as well. If you're talking, like, the other thing is, if you're talking about this Mid-Ulster Enterprise Week, tag the speakers who are speaking at the events, because that's really, helpful and helps them get more visibility on the platform. Absolutely tag me if you are going to LinkedIn to do a post after this. Hopefully I've inspired you to actually go and write a post on LinkedIn, and absolutely tag me on that. But don't tag people just for the sake of it, okay? All right, how often should you post on LinkedIn? This will be music to a lot of people's ears, because actually you only need to post a couple of times a week to make a real impact on your LinkedIn. So my LinkedIn with Louise podcast that came out today is about 5 activities to do every single day on LinkedIn, that would take no more than 15-20 minutes a day to really help you grow your LinkedIn network and your visibility on LinkedIn. But if you don't want to do posts on LinkedIn, or you don't know what to write about in your content yet, start with commenting on other people's stuff, okay? Build up to posting your own content a couple of times a week, and it will be hit and miss at the start as to what people are going to engage with and be interested in. When you do a post and people comment underneath it, brilliant, gold star for you. Make sure you reply to every comment as well. So this helps more people see your content, but it also helps, it makes that person feel good, and they're much more likely to come and engage with you on your next post. So it's, really it's a bit of etiquette around using LinkedIn, but always reply to comments on every social media platform, unless they're offensive, of course. So build up to posting a couple of times a week, comment on other people's stuff, reply to every comment. All right, do you remember I said we had 4 pillars? So we've talked about our profile, we've talked about content, we've talked a little bit about networks, and let's talk about LinkedIn messaging. Kind of falls in with building your network here, actually. So when you send a connection request to somebody, always personalize the invitation, so the person knows why you're connecting with them. Well, why are you connecting with them? What do are they somebody you think could benefit from your services? Are they somebody who works with similar people to the people you work with? Are they a potential supplier to your business? Why are you connecting with them? Are they in the Chamber of Commerce that you're in? Are you in the same networking group? Why are you connecting with them? The reason this is so powerful is because once you send that connection request with a note, most people, I have to say, a lot of people need to step up a little bit here, most people will reply to you, and then you're having a conversation with them. And it's all about building relationships. LinkedIn really, for businesses, LinkedIn is brilliant for you when you look at as a place to build relationships with people. I quite often would say to somebody, you know, treat LinkedIn as your virtual business networking event. So you walk in the door, you find somebody you know, you have a conversation with them, you find somebody new that you've never met before, you start a conversation with them. You don't just stick your business card in their hand and walk away. You ask them what they do. You ask them how are they finding the event? You know, what's going on in business? How's it all going? How's 2020 treating you guys? It's about relationships, and messaging is a powerful part of that. Do remind people what you actually do for a living. Unless you want to be like the local LinkedIn celebrity who just goes on because they want lots of people to, you know, click like on their content and tell them how amazing they are. Why are you on there? Take all right back to why are you on there? Who are you trying to help? What is your product or service? How can you work with people? How can they find you? You know, talk about, share content that shows what you actually do in business. So our key steps, because I want to leave plenty of time for Q&A, our key steps for using LinkedIn are optimize your profile. So important. That is a service I offer. Reach out to me if you're on today and you want help with that, and I'm happy to do a little mid-Ulster special offer for that. Understand what, when, and how to post. Attract your ideal client by your activity. Always connect with a note. Once you've got those people in your network, build on the relationships with them. Comment on their content. If you see something that's useful to them, send it to them in a private message or tag them in a comment underneath that post. Use LinkedIn messaging. I don't know if anyone here is using videos in the messaging yet. I sent out 4 video messages at the weekend and got 2 responses. I think people were really going, ooh, I've never seen a video message before. So you can send video messages. You can also set up meetings inside LinkedIn Messenger, actually, on Zoom, which is fascinating. That's another new feature, just came out last month. And always add a call to action. So whether that is asking people what they think about your post, whether it is asking people reach out and connect with me at the end of your video, ask them what they think. Do they want to connect with you? Always add a call to action so people know what the next step is to take with you. And think about your strategy. So what can you write about on LinkedIn that's going to help your audience? What can you start conversations about? Why not start a conversation about Mid-Ulster Enterprise Week and the other people you've met in the chat box? You know, aim for 2 to 3 posts a week. And if you would like more help, then I run corporate workshops. I do lunch and learn sessions. I work with teams. I work one-on-one. I call it the VIP intensive for people who just want, you know what, Louise, I want to use LinkedIn, but I just want to do it and move on, have it ready to go. And that's what the intensive is for. And I do 1-hour strategy sessions. So if you want to have a chat about any of those things, you can book a 15-minute call with me on Zoom. It's socialbni.com/call or louisebrogan.com/call, and then we can see how to move forward from there. And we're going to go to time for Q&A. So we have 15 minutes for Q&A. So I will stop sharing the screen now. And let's look at the questions. Hi, Catherine.
Hello. That was great. Thank you very much, Louise. We have had quite a few questions in, so hopefully we can get through them all. So first of all, can you get your location more accurate or defined? Mine defaults to Belfast, even though our office is Portadown down.
Ooh, you can to a point, but LinkedIn bases the locations on the volume of population. So I did some work with a team in Newry, and we were able to get Newry as the location. I know you can get Derry/Londonderry and Belfast Metropolitan. So I go and check it again. But for example, you wouldn't get, I don't think you get like Coleraine or Newton Abbey or Omagh at the moment, but it's very much based on population size, I believe.
Okay, thank you. Someone just popped in saying Cookstown works as a location if that's any help.
There you go, excellent.
Okay, how long can a video on LinkedIn stories be?
Oh, brilliant question. I believe LinkedIn stories is 20 seconds. Uploading a video to LinkedIn as a post has to be under 10 minutes unless you have LinkedIn Live, in which case you are encouraged to go live for more than 20 minutes.
Super. Another question, how can you add a note with invitations without sounding too salesy?
That's a great question. Okay, so I wonder what that person does for a living. I generally send out probably a few connection requests a day, and it's usually I've seen somebody's headline because they've commented on either my post or somebody else in my network, and I will literally say, "Hi Joanne, I see we're both friends with Lucy. I really like what you said on her post, and I'd like to add you to my network." Or you can be a bit more direct and salesy if you want, and just say, "Hi Joanne, I see you're working in mental health. I've been recently doing a series of talks about mental health and the workplace, and I'd like to add you to my network if that's something you'd be interested in hearing more about." What you don't want to do is say, "Hi Louise, we promote podcasts. I'd love to add you to my network so I can get your podcast out in front of 5,000 people." You see how those two are very different. So the mental health person could just say, "Oh, you know what, I'm not really interested," and just not bother accepting your connection request. But if they do, they know why you're connecting with them because you're very clear.
Okay, super. And then should you accept all invitation requests?
No, but I tend to go and see who they are. It's easier to accept them when they've actually told you why they want to connect with you. Another good reason for sending a connection request with a note. So LinkedIn deleted 32 million fake accounts this year on the platform. And I'm sure everybody here has had a fake account reach out to them. You can kind of tell by the way that it's written. I tend not to accept requests if I can tell they're from a bot. And I'm well used to recognizing those. But if you accept someone in your network and you think, and then they immediately try and pitch you something and you think, ugh, just disconnect from them. This is not your personal Facebook account. This is a business networking account. Feel very free to just remove them from your network.
Super. Okay. When you do a post on LinkedIn, does all your team see this automatically?
No.
Perfect. Short and sweet. That's great. And do you think that premium is value for money?
So this is one of my favorite questions. If you have got an optimized LinkedIn profile, if you are getting engagement on your posts and you understand how LinkedIn works, then premium is absolutely worth the money. If you don't have your ducks in a row first, then no, don't get it yet. You can find people through search and filter when you understand how LinkedIn works, and you can get engagement on your content when you know how to use LinkedIn properly before you start spending the money on premium.
Perfect. Should you have the same posts on your personal account and your company page?
No. And the reason being, your personal profile is about starting conversations with your network and being of service and value. Your company page is much more, here's what's happening in the business right now, and can be kind of seen as more of a tradition, whereas your personal profile is you building relationships with your network.
Perfect. I think you touched upon posting only a couple of times a week. Is that right for LinkedIn?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Super. Still coming in here thick and fast. So if you upload a video to LinkedIn, how can you get it to play automatically as opposed to you having to click on start playing?
So that is the individual person who is seeing your video. That's down to their privacy settings. They can change their settings so that videos do not automatically play in their feed. It's nothing to do. You can't control that.
Cool. And how do you go about posting an article, and how is it different from posting an ordinary post?
Oh, brilliant. I have a whole article about this that I wrote for Social Media Examiner. I wonder, could we share that out through the council? But it's very, very different. You won't get as many people seeing your article at all, but the people who matter, so they're kind of further down the steps of wanting to work with you, they're the people who are going to see that article. It's going to make more of an impact on them. And the piece that I wrote is called How to Write Articles That People Will Read and Share on LinkedIn. I don't have the link to it to share to people, but if you go to my website and type in articles, you'll see that, and it's got very clear instructions on how to construct that article as well.
That's great. You mentioned earlier, if I'm right, that posts with text only are better or receive more from it. So we have someone here from like a photographic business where they would want to put pictures up. Is that not a good idea? You know, why should we not use those? Or is that a different, because obviously that is your business?
It's no different. So why don't you start conversations about why people need updated photographs? So if your audience are businesses who need photographs for their website, why don't you start conversations about why that's important to them? And then, like, remember I said about the 1, 2, 3 sales? So value, value, value. And then the fourth one can be, here's some pictures we did for a recent client. But yeah, start conversations. You should measure your analytics on LinkedIn. It's really, it's not hard to find. Underneath each post, there's a little graph. When you click on that, it shows you how many people have engaged with each of your posts. It's free, it's not premium. And you'll see that when you go back through your posts that you've shared, that your text only posts, unless you've won like a big award or something, that's different. In your regular content, the text only posts will outperform everything else.
Okay, so you mentioned there about the premium, and people you can see who's viewing your page if you have premium. So someone has mentioned that it is a bit annoying whenever people do that in private mode. There's no really way around that apart from the premium service. But if they've chosen to be private, then you can't really avoid that.
Well, it's really interesting because I have a membership community of people that we have live calls twice a month, and I was showing them last night that actually, with a bit of detective work, you can kind of find out who they are half the time, but people don't know that.
So it's a good wee tip then. What do you think of Sales Navigator?
Kind of in the way that the premium works. So it's not very interesting. Somebody was on my messaging yesterday said that they have bought licenses for Sales Navigator for their entire team, and I thought, unless you know how to use LinkedIn properly first, not that you've wasted your money, but you're not going to get out of it what you need without actually proper training. So yes, Sales Navigator is great when you understand how LinkedIn works. And then, so I'll tell you a wee story. It was a manufacturing company I worked with in Northern Ireland during the summer, and they had Sales Navigator, and I worked one-to-one with the sales manager, and we spent the Wednesday together, and by Friday she had 3 inbound leads from her ideal clients, and she said to me, I can't believe this, I've been firing away on Sales Navigator for a couple of months and getting nowhere, and we've spent half a day together, and I've got 3 of my ideal clients have actually reached out to me to find out about our products. So it all comes down to understanding how to use LinkedIn and then spend money on the premium services.
Super. Okay, and just for clarity then, the posting a few times a week on personal page and your business page?
Well, it's interesting. So it depends on the size of your company. If you have a company of, I don't know if there's anybody here from the big companies, but like if you have over 1,000 people in your company, there's really not a complete other use for LinkedIn company pages, and that is building community inside your company page that outsiders don't see, highlighting people and connecting them together from across different teams and stuff, which is really fascinating. But for me, as a solo entrepreneur, I have like 3 or 4 people that I work with, but it's really louisebrogan.com is me. I will post on there once a week or once a fortnight. and I focus all my attention on the personal profile. But if you have a team of 10 or 15, then yes, share more content on your company page and invite your staff to share that out, remembering they need to write something about why they're sharing it too.
Perfect. Time for a few more before we finish up. Do micro businesses typically use LinkedIn?
Yes. Yes, 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 and yes. Please do. Please, please, please do. It's really the best place to get clients. If you follow all the things that I said today, get your profile optimized, starting conversations, you can do phenomenally well on LinkedIn.
And I'm not sure about this question, but maybe you can decide first. What's all in the 3 private dashboard and how do you use it?
Okay, so the private dashboard is, if you scroll down through your LinkedIn personal profile, it's underneath your about section, and so the first number is the number of people who've looked at your profile. The second number is how many people have viewed your most recent post, whether that's a video or a text post or whatever, it doesn't really matter, whatever your most recent post was. And the third one is, what are you coming up in search for? So you click on any one of those 3 numbers and it gives you a lot more information. The third one is really interesting because when I click on that, I can see the people who are looking at my content and my profile are company directors, founders, people who hire speakers. I can see what companies they are coming from. Like yesterday, yeah, I think it was in the live training, there were 7 people from one company had been looking at my profile. And that is a very warm lead for me to then reach out and say, oh, hello, are you interested in knowing a bit more about how to use LinkedIn with your team?
Super. Okay, great. I think that's all of them in there. Thank you very much, Louise. That was really great. I think everyone has lots of tips they're going to take away with them. As I did say at the start, I'll be sending all the attendees the slides after this, along with a short feedback form. So if you could take your time and complete that for us, that would be great. And get it in as soon as possible, positive and negative, to ensure that any of the future events that we do meet your business community's needs. And don't forget to tune into the Council's Facebook page on Friday evening to see if you're today's daily prize winner. There's a draw for all 5 days. Not you, Louise. There's a draw for all 5 days being made on Friday. And if you're the lucky recipient of an iPad or a Fitbit, council officers will be in contact. Feel free to register for the remainder of the week. There's more events happening this week. And remember, they're all free and can be registered right up until the start time. And again, on behalf of Mid-Ulster District Council, thank you for your attendance and interaction today. And I hope we were sending you away with lots of information to use in your daily business. Thank you now. Bye-bye.
Bye.